Hey everybody, it's Kneecap here, and welcome to This Week in WoW for the week of July 30th, heading into August. But first, let's give a shout out to Patreon supporters. We have Mario Casillas, and I don't even know if you guys can see this good, and Rep Pally Rocks. I decided to keep this on a whiteboard back here behind me. You'll see that probably in videos as well if you look close in the background. Thank you guys for the support. I appreciate it very, very much. Let's go ahead and get into the Mythic plus affixes for the week. So last week I did kind of speculate, I guess you'd say, that we would just be continuing the real affixes. Kind of assumed, right? But you never know with the changes to affixes coming if they're going to do anything different. They didn't say they would. But yeah, we just have the same affixes as normal up until the War Within launches. And so this week's going to be Tyrannical, Volcanic, and Sanguine. Again, that's Tyrannical, Volcanic, and Sanguine. This very well could be the last time we see Sanguine, which is not one of the most favorite affixes out there. So this could be the very last time we see this. It's very, very possible. I'd have to look at the actual chart to see if it'll come back again before, but I really don't think so. But yeah, it could be the final goodbye there. Should be if you're having fun with your pre-patch class. Some classes are really strong because of the pre-patch, some classes are not. Rep Paladin, which is what I mean, obviously, is extremely strong here on the pre-patch, and so I'm just dominating every mythic keystone that I do, basically, and it's very fun. This, if you're just doing them for fun like me, or whatever reason you might be doing them, this is pretty solid fixes overall. Of course, Sanguine slows you down, but Volcanic being one that's very easy to dodge out of makes it a little bit more fun, in my opinion. So have fun with that if that's what you're doing. Obviously, the titles and stuff are done, and this is purely for fun now. From here until War Within, anything you're doing is pretty much just for fun. Let's go ahead and talk about other small things that are going on in the game here. We do have the Dragonflight Dungeon event going on this week. So this is, again, what this is really good for, actually, if you want to think about it like this, is if you're coming back, right? Let's think about players that are coming back, either coming back to War Within or going to start playing WoW with the War Within, right? This is a good event to do to get your character some gear, right? You probably are trying to get a little bit of, if you came back for the pre-patch, you're probably trying to get a little bit of gear coming in into the expansion, right? And so this is a good way to get a little bit of gear, do the dungeon event. Simple enough. You just do some mythic dungeons and get a nice piece of loot for doing it. PvP Brawl Deep 6 also this week. We have Trial of Style this week. So I always like the Trial of Style. They usually announce when they're going to add more stuff to it, but they obviously need to keep up on this a little bit more than what they do. Now, they did add stuff throughout this expansion, so it's not like they don't keep up with it at all. But yeah, it's a kind of a cool little event. I always enjoy it. I only do it when they have new stuff to get. Obviously, I don't do it just for fun, but if they add new stuff, I'll go in there and do it because, I have a lot of collected transmoggable items, so I can go in there and probably throw something together and, get my points or get my first place or whatever and get the new items. So I always enjoy the Trial of Style personally, but of course, again, no reason to do it really unless you have items, cosmetic items that you want to buy from it. And then, of course, the Darkmoon Fair will be starting towards the end of the week. And Darkmoon Fair, of course, mounts, pets, prizes, and hopefully a reboot, or not a reboot, but a little bit of a makeover going into War Within as well, or sometime during the War Within, I should say, which would be really cool if so. I'd really, really enjoy that. And I always speculate on that just because they have added assets to the game that are Darkmoon Fair assets. So it appears that they will be doing some sort of makeover to the Darkmoon Fair in the near future. So always looking forward to that. Probably the biggest thing this week is going to be the pre-patch event. So there's going to be this Radiant Echoes event. Obviously this video is not going to guide on that, but basically you're just going to get a quest and you're going to want to go to, I don't know where the first quest sends you. I assume it's probably like to Stormwind and Ogremar or whatever, and you go from there. But basically, just long story short of this event is just that you're going to go throughout Azeroth and you're going to like relive or spectate events from the past, and it's going to be, slightly, if you've seen any of the videos or you watched a guide on it, you've seen like these creatures that are like slightly different color than normal. They're all the same color pattern, but like it's supposed to show you that it's like from a different time. It's a memory. It's it's a different phase or whatever. And you're gonna go through and you're gonna do these little events that pop up with these memories from the past. Collect currency. You can buy gear from that as well if you're trying to get gear for the War Within. And yeah, it should be a pretty solid event overall. The pre-patch events are usually a little bit better than like the like the patch cycle events. So like the whatever the event would be for 11.2, it'll probably be better than that. But don't get your expectations up too high. There's also a little bit of storyline I think that gets dropped too. I don't want to overhype that because I don't know how much storyline it is or if it's good or even. But I think there's a little bit of storyline that gets dropped as well. By doing the Radiant Echoes thing, it's kind of like setting up the story for the War Within kind of thing. And I don't know how influential that is or non-influential it is. But that's definitely something that I think it probably ties right into the beginning, the opening quest sequence for the War Within. If I'm just kind of putting some puzzle pieces together in my head from what I do know about the pre-patch event and what I do know about the start of the War Within leveling from the beta. I think it kind of is connecting us from Dragonflight to the War Within with this very preliminary storyline type thing. So that'll be this week as well. Like I said, I've been playing a ton of Keystones, especially for me, because I'm not a huge Mythic Plus player, but I was testing out the Mastery stuff, testing out the single target versus the ES versus Final Reckoning, basically with Rat Paladin, and just doing a ton of keys. I'm kind of keyed out, to be completely honest. I also did a little bit of the heroic raid with my guild, who are like having a bunch of new characters that don't have any gear or anything like that. So just kind of like helping a handful of characters get some gear in the heroic raid at least. And so I played an absolute ton of WoW this past week, to be completely honest. And I definitely had fun. Pre-patch event, I'll definitely be playing this a lot too. And then I expect myself to kind of, I'll probably gear some of my alts with the pre-patch event, would be my guess. And then I'll probably shift back into more playing beta and therefore more covering the beta than on live, just because that's where the more interesting stuff's going to be at that point. So probably like another week playing retail, at least fairly aggressively, and then moving on to beta until we actually launch, the expansion, which is now just in a few weeks. So very excited about that. That'll be about it for this one, guys. As always, I do ask you to please subscribe to the channel. If you're already a subscriber, I encourage you to check out the Patreon. Other than that, everybody have a good one.